Michel. Hi everyone, welcome for the last meeting of the day. I'm really glad to have you here today to talk about artificial intelligence applied to health tech. And I will be speaking in English because all our videos are in English, but I will be unfortunately the only one here physically because all of our speakers coming from the Nordics couldn't come actually regarding, well, you know, the COVID-19 problem situation currently. So actually I will let the virtual floor to my colleague Emma Becker, who is working for Vinnova, which is the equivalent of BPI France in Sweden, and she will be introducing the topic. And then the objective of this workshop is for you to have an overview of the importance of the health tech in the Nordics, especially in Sweden, with a short overview with Johanna BERGMAN, who's working for AI Sweden and who will be giving you some information about the ecosystem, the tech ecosystem, so you can have all the information and know how you could be in part of this ecosystem as a French tech, because we're working very closely with our colleague over there. And then Michel NEMERY will be here to give you a case study to work on that, because his working is Danish and is working in, I will pass the accent, but of Gentofte Hospital as a working with radiology and who's applying some kind of AI in its job, everyday job. So we have the macro view, and you will have also the specific view of a business case. And I hope it will give you very much information. And if you want to know more about the possibility you can have with Sweden, please do not hesitate to ask all of your questions. I think our speakers are currently online, so you can have all your questions, and we will give them the question afterwards. Thank you very much. And so I let the virtual floor to Emma Becker.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this very interesting session on artificial intelligence applied to healthcare, Scandinavia New Challenge. So my name is Emma Becker, and I am with BPI's Swedish sister agency, Vinnova, where I am responsible for the French-Swedish partnership for innovation and green solutions, where AI and healthcare are crucial parts. Just so you get an idea about my organization, I would like to say a few words about Vinnova, that is the Swedish innovation agency. We are an agency under the Ministry of Enterprise and Innovation, where we have three roles. We are the national contact point for the EU framework program, and we are also the Swedish government's expert agency on innovation policy. And to add to that, we are also a funding agency, where we funded almost 4,000 projects last year for some about 300 million euro. And we fund projects using grants, and it can be anything from projects to promote social and norm-critical innovation to, let's say, 5G technology being used in mines. And we do have innovation collaborations with a number of countries. However, France is one of the most prioritized countries due to the strategic partnership between us. And let me go into that a little bit. So based on the partnership, we have been working together with BPI since 2017, when the partnership was signed at the highest level. And here you can see actually all the topics of the partnership. And I would like to stress the importance of this conference as it ticks the boxes for at least three parts of the partnership: sustainable digital transformation and AI, optimal healthcare outcomes, innovative solutions through SMEs as well. And with these words, I would like to leave you Global cooperation is crucial for a sustainable future. Thank you so much and enjoy.
Will share my presentation, I think. Oh, it's always Teams. I think Teams is a bit worse than the others for sharing.
Yeah, true. I feel like Zoom is also a bit more convenient usually, but
yeah.
Yeah, nice, very nice.
Yeah, okay, you can see my presentation now, right?
I do. So just as a short notice, so
I changed to presenter view now, but you still see the other.
I still see the other screen, yes.
Maybe
I think you'll probably need to stop the screen sharing and then screen share.
Yeah. Probably. And then Microsoft owns PowerPoint is a Microsoft software as well. So how can it be so hard?
Oh yeah, now it works. Perfect.
Okay, great. So I guess should I just start or?
Yes, I'll just have a short timer. I'll just turn on my timer just to have an eye on it. So okay, I'll turn off my camera and my microphone, and then you can start whenever you want, whenever you're ready. Just go ahead, and I'll be recording.
Okay, great. I will just. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Johanna BERGMAN. I'm head of strategic initiatives at AI Sweden, and I'm here to talk about AI applied to healthcare and also the efforts that we do at AI Sweden. So AI Sweden is the national center for applied AI in Sweden, and our mission is to accelerate the use of AI for the benefit of our society, our competitiveness, and also for everyone living in Sweden. And with us on this mission, we have around 100 partners across Sweden. It's everything from public sector authorities to academia, the big corporate organizations, as well as small startups and consultancy companies. So we really cover a lot of different sectors and industries and companies across Sweden. And we know that AI will impact and transform all sectors, healthcare included. And as you all know, healthcare is a lot about data, information, and finding patterns in information. And that is really what AI and machine learning is really good at. And I want to show you some general trends within AI and the challenges that we see most organizations face when it comes to AI. And that is really because we see that healthcare is not unique, or any other sector is not unique when it comes to healthcare. The challenges are the same. And right now, it's a lot about big models trained on a lot of data. So the scale of the models that is trained right now are really big, and we need to understand how we can put them in practice and how we can operationalize this kind of big models. And that is really one of the biggest trends we see right now. And this is challenging for a lot of companies. Another trend. So I want to show this picture, and that is not about it's a really cool application. It's AI and writing code, but that is really not why I'm showing this picture. This is because the amount of names on this paper or on this publication. So we really see that one organization alone, it's very hard for one organization to come up with those kind of models and new applications of AI. It's really a collaborative effort, and we need to collaborate cross industries, cross organizations, and with different kind of actors to really do this kind of breakthroughs when it comes to AI and models. And the third example I want to show, that is how AI is used in different scientific domains, how we can use AI to really accelerate the research in different domains. And the most recent example here is DeepMind and AlphaFold, where we use AI for solving or almost solving the problem of protein folding, which has been a great challenge within biology for a long time. So this is really interesting, and I think we will see a lot more of this where we apply machine learning and AI to different scientific domains. But what I really want to emphasize today is our focus when it comes to healthcare and also AI in general from AI Sweden's perspective. And that is really focusing on building the infrastructure to be able to operationalize AI at scale in organizations and in the society at large. And I think most of you have seen the cool examples, and when it comes to healthcare, it can be AI or machine learning solutions that performs better than physicians when it comes to radiology, for example, and other cool applications that is much more fun to talk about than building the infrastructure. But we're really focusing on this fundamental challenges for applying AI. And to do this, we have identified a couple of strategic areas, and this is done together with our partners. And these areas will probably change. We will add more areas, we will remove areas, because this is really a fast-moving field, and we need to keep up with that pace. So a lot of things happening all the time, and that also meaning that we need to be super agile and dynamic in our way of working. But we actually have collaborations with healthcare providers on all of those topics right now. Decentralized AI, for example, to train models without sharing data. We're working on applied language technology for patient records. We're looking into different privacy-preserving solutions and how can we build privacy-preserving AI. But also focusing on how we develop the organizations to be able to apply AI at scale. So we see that most industries and most sectors have the same basic challenges when it comes to applied AI. And some of the current big challenges is, of course, related to data and that we cannot share data openly. And when it comes to healthcare, we don't see that happen in a short while. So we're really focusing on finding ways to work with data and train AI models without not necessarily sharing the data. And for example, the centralized and federated learning, as I mentioned, but it could also be synthetic data or other ways to work on building great models without sharing all data. But then also that AI is more than just algorithms. It's also about transforming entire businesses and organizations, and that really applies to healthcare as well. So we have at AI Sweden, together with with a couple of regions in Sweden and other relevant actors, we have strategic initiatives that is really about transforming healthcare to become AI ready and AI first. And this is, of course, a long time effort, and we are supported by Vinnova for 5 years. Vinnova is the Swedish innovation agency to start this work. And this is really about AI transformation and also digital transformation, because we need to be ready to apply AI, and then we first need to really accelerate the digital transformation of healthcare. But this is what we're focusing on, and it comes back to what I mentioned earlier about building the infrastructure and focusing on the infrastructure, because then we can build the cool applications. And to be able to do this, we see that we need a strong leadership, and we need to learn from the best. And that could be, so in this strategic initiative that I'm mentioning, we are looking at the regions and healthcare providers in Sweden that has come really far, and let others learn from them. Of course, we are also looking at international good examples and how we can learn from them, but also other industries, and how can we learn from industries that have come much more far when it comes to applying AI. And then, of course, we need a national leadership in this transformation of healthcare, and we don't really see the actor for that right now. So we're really trying to also take on that leadership right now to be able to transform healthcare. And of course, we see that collaboration and networks are super important when it comes to AI, and that is really why we have this initiative within AI Sweden, because then we have the entire AI ecosystem in Sweden as the network where we can learn a lot from different industries and different organizations. And then the challenge that all companies and organizations are facing right now when it comes to the global race for talent and have the right talent and competence in the organization. And this will become an even greater challenge. And at AI Sweden, together with our partners, we have some really interesting initiatives on this. One is a recently started pilot for a graduate program where we have talents from Europe coming to Sweden to work on 3 different organizations. One is Sahlgrenska University Hospital, AstraZeneca, and then Sensac, the self-driving car company. And then the talents will rotate between these organizations, meaning that we also will enable knowledge transfer between the organizations and make a unique opportunity for European talents to come to Sweden and try different organizations. And I think this will really benefit the healthcare as well, to be able to attract a top talent. So that is really interesting and something we're looking forward to evaluate to see how it works. So that was everything from me, an overview of what we do at AI Sweden that we also see applies to healthcare. And we are always open for collaborations, great ideas, or anything. So please reach out to me if you have any thoughts or ideas. Thank you.
Let's see.
You're recording it now. It says it's recording the presentation.
Yes, now it does.
Yeah, okay.
So what I will do is that I will turn. Let's see.
You're recording it now. It says it's recording the presentation.
Yes, now it does.
Yeah, okay.
So what I will do is that I will turn off my microphone and my camera.
Yeah.
So that we only have you on the screen. And then you can start whenever you want. Yes, so basically there
as a little, let's say, thumbnail AI in radiology specifically. So my name is Michel NEMERY. I'm the chairman of the Department of Radiology here at Gentofte University Hospital, the 2nd largest hospital of Copenhagen, Denmark. So why does it do that? Maybe we should start over, or?
Yeah, sure, if you want.
Yeah, let's do that, because I hit the wrong button and I just need to stay on the right buttons.
No worries.
Why innovate in clinical practice? This is a rendering, very crude, of the knowing-doing gap. And there's also sort of a modified knowing-doing gap rendering, because I put science as the way that we know, and I put implementation as the method of how to do. So how do we give the science results to every patient routinely? And sadly, the dogma is that takes about 14 years. So with smartphones, we still have a couple of years to go before we use them routinely. But what about AI? And do we actually have 14 years? Some people would argue it's more like 18 years. So how far are we into this? And is it okay to be waiting for this? So I would state that today medicine is a data-based clinical science. In most countries around the globe, this is still totally true. But a new paradigm is on the horizon, and medicine is quickly becoming a clinical data science. And on the left bottom, you see the way that the IBM Watson algorithm is reasoning. You don't have to study it. It's just for the nice colors and for the craziness of medicine being digital. So here's a little old slide. It's illustrating the financial power of all the new actors in the healthcare tech and IT space. And you will recognize some of the The patient file companies are very small on this scale. The medical technology companies, GE, Siemens, and Philips, are somewhat larger, but on the very right, you see the new giants, and they're mainly in deep learning or artificial intelligence. The new tech giants are entering the space, and I think there will be new ones there. I'm sure Tesla will be there soon. And also China. China is investing very heavily in digital technologies, and they have a very strong focus on digital as, let's say, a societal and a healthcare optimizing tool. So to try to catch some of these trends and convert them to value for our patients as quickly as possible, we in 2013 established the Innovation Unit in a public-private innovation partnership with Siemens Healthineers. And the purpose of the Innovation Unit is to provide needs and user-driven innovation in the middle of the clinical practice, and to promote innovation as a core delivery. So the Innovation Unit has 3 strategic pillars. One is advanced CT. You can see it on the bottom left. CT now is no longer black and white and gray. It's in color, and it has a lot of potential to improve care. We've been building here an emergency hospital that just opened 2 months ago. So, of course, emergency radiology is also a strategic focus of the Innovation Unit. And thirdly, AI. So AI, now we are funded by the government actually in this department, and we have done so jointly with a neighboring hospital. And we, in last year, established what we call Radiological AI Test Center with our neighboring hospital, and this is a very fruitful partnership. So when we set out with innovation, we said, how about a common goal? Let's invent this self-service CT scanner. And Siemens were okay with this, and we said, okay, so if you want to make a self-service CT scanner, because today there are none on the market, and there were not in 2013 either, first, obviously, you need to address for a way to man and machine to interact. So patient and the machine needs to be able to communicate, and for that, they also need to be able to see each other. So obviously, the patient has eyes, but the camera mounted in the ceiling was not invented yet. So it's a 3D AI-based camera that allows the scanner to see and position the patient in an optimal manner. So now that's in routine use, and was a significant step towards creation of a self-service CT. So if I was brave enough, I would have shown you a video on YouTube, but you can make the search yourself, self-service CT scanner, because 3 weeks ago, we actually reached a milestone where we're getting very close. So here you see some prints from that video, and this is an expert patient sitting on the bed of the scanner. He's choosing from the menu. He has had kidney stones for many years, so this is not his first rodeo, and he's choosing the CT kidney stone protocol. So the scanner tells him to lie down on the iPad and to raise his arms above his head. And when the scanner and this 3D AI camera is accepting that he's in the right position, it will automatically push him up and into the scanner. It tells him that this is a 6-second scan, and if you press the green button, the scan will proceed and you consent to what is going on. So from this, you can see that the user interface needs some work. It's not that sexy, and you need to be an expert patient to do it, but you can actually now scan yourself. So this is a great idea for a partnership with someone who wants to do a self-service CT user interface improvement. And another idea that we can see now that we need for the scanner version 2.1 is the patient consent joystick. So you don't have to have an iPad and a remote control in your hand, but this can all be done by just moving the lever and reading your fingerprint as consent. So what are the values that we would see could be created by AI in radiology? Well, a lot of reductions. As you can see, we could reduce radiation dose, the use of contrast media or medicine. We could reduce image noise. This is moving very rapidly as we speak. Reduce retakes and errors. We could reduce cost. And also very important, we could reduce the shortage of radiologists, because that's a major problem in many parts of the world right now, and also reduce burnouts. So here's a rendering, which in this space is actually old because it's 2 years old, from the Medical Futurists, showing that most of the FDA-approved AI solution for medical use are in the radiology space. And you can see it here on the right. This is the stack. But how do we implement these technologies? Who knows that? What's the manual for that? I'll get back to that. So right today, we're using AI in 3 ways in clinical use. On the left, you see a Danish company that developed an algorithm to establish the bone age of a patient. So children with growth impairment can be assessed in a standardized, fully automated manner. This is the gold standard now in this country, I think, and we've been running it for 5 years. In the middle, you see an AI-based reconstruction system from Siemens, and all our CT scans, we have 13 CT scanners in all our scans go through an automatic reconstruction algorithm that is AI-based. And what you see on the screen is a cardiac CT. To get to images like this from the raw scan data would usually, or let's say 4 or 5 years ago, would take an expert radiologist about 20 minutes. Now it's always ready because it's been done automatically in the background. And at New Year, we hope to be implementing an algorithm that we've helped create with a small Danish startup called Cerebrio, to assess MRIs of the brain while the patient is still in the scanner. So the Radiological AI Test Center is visualized here. So we have a core, 2 hospital radiology departments joined, and we've agreed that this is a non-competitive space. I won't go into detail, but I think actually that's a very important key. So in the core, we have skill sets and patients and persons with skills within psychology, within data science, technology. We have researchers, we have lawyers, and we routinely work on governance and the organization. And we are establishing education and skill development for the staff of our own departments and in our specialty in a broader sense. And we have experts in implementation. So all of this have to be in the loop if you want successful clinical validation and implementation of AI algorithms in medicine. And so far, we have a psychologist doing man-machine PhD. We have 2 PhDs working on knee osteoarthrosis algorithms. We have a PhD working on brain detection, algorithm detection of blood clots and hemorrhage. And we have a PhD working on how the algorithms can aid in detection of disease on X-rays of the lungs. So this is a very important slide. I termed it AI from idea to patient. So this is actually, I think, a generic map of the way you need to move from the idea or the need of the patient via the prototype and a proof of concept to training a model. If this is all successful, you train a model, and in the end, you develop it to clinical use, and you have to test it. And then if you're lucky or if you're successful, you have CE or FDA certification, and you hope to have a product that you can sell. But this is usually where the story ends, or actually this is where the clinical implementation starts. So the clinical validation always needs to be part of it. You cannot assume that because the algorithm is approved based on data from the Midwest of the US, that it will always also work on patients in the southern part of Paris on the scanners that they have there or that you have there. So you need skill sets both for that and to understand the analysis and the technology. Your organization needs to be ready. You need to invest in clinical implementation because you don't want to do this wrong. That's not going to be safe for the patient. You want continuous quality assessment, and you want to make sure that you actually create real-world value, and ideally also continuous improvement. And this is what it looks like training an algorithm in the back closet of this hospital. This is in 2015, again, Cerebrio, and you can see the different colors of wiring actually are signifying what goes on inside or outside the firewall. And this is getting very close. It's now a CE mark product that will triage patients having a brain MRI done. In red color, it will show there's a high likelihood of an infarction, apoplexia here, and it can, in a smart way, adjust the protocol as the patient is being scanned and show the lesions detected to the radiologist or the X-ray technician. And more importantly, it can send a text message to the neurologist, not the radiologist. It also could do that, but the neurologist receives the result now with no delay while the patient is still in the scanner. That's a breakthrough. And this is a busy slide, but all you need to actually take home is this is a test that we did implementing a CT of the lung algorithm. So besides looking for lesions, which is classically why we do a CT scan of the lung, it will also quantify chronic diseases of the lung. It will quantify heart disease, quantify vascular disease, and quantify osteoporotic or spine fracture disease. So we're asking one question, but we're getting many answers from the algorithms. So we overestimate how quickly this will arrive, but we underestimate the impact on our clinical practice. So with this, in conclusion, medicine is already digital, so we need to innovate to stay relevant. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of our speakers. I will be switching into French to give some practical details. Bonsoir. Merci à tous d'avoir participé à cette dernière table ronde de la journée. J'espère que ça vous a plu et si vous en voulez plus, si vous avez effectivement un projet de développement avec la Suède ou en tout cas peut-être un partenariat technologique qui vous intéresserait avec des partenaires sur place, sachez qu'on lance un nouveau programme avec la Suède et que justement nous serons en train d'organiser, alors il va y avoir une délégation suédoise sur cette thématique-là qui viendra en novembre à Paris. Et sachez également qu'il y aura une session de matching avec des entreprises de ce secteur-là dans 2 semaines. Donc si ces sujets-là vous intéressent, n'hésitez pas à venir, je vous donnerai ma carte pour m'envoyer un mail et que je vous envoie toutes les informations. D'autant que ma collègue suédoise le disait au départ, si jamais vous avez effectivement un projet collaboratif en R&D, que vous vous intéressez à la Suède, non seulement pour les briques tech que vous pourriez trouver là-bas, mais aussi sur évidemment le côté early adopters des Suédois sur ces questions-là, qui sont quand même très très avancées, ou même sur le Danemark, cela dit, qui a un système de certification CE beaucoup plus avancé que ce qu'on peut trouver dans d'autres pays. Écoutez, n'hésitez pas à venir m'en parler parce que du coup, on a des possibilités pour vous financer, cofinancer, vous accompagner là-dedans. Donc, ne partez pas seul et n'hésitez pas et on en parlera ensemble. Voilà, merci beaucoup, très bonne soirée et à très bientôt, j'espère. Merci beaucoup.